scenario. Trump releases all of the files, all of the names, all of the people, redacts the victims, and just says, yeah, we're not really sure which ones of them are pedophiles and which ones aren't. Yeah, we don't know.
Who needs air support?
Just straight up. That would be, yes, the purge, yes. Yeah, just putting it out there. Yeah, I don't know, but, you know, it could be these guys. Control yourself. Yeah, that'd be the most obvious. That would be, why would he release himself? He would be on the list too. Yeah, no, you're right. Pure fucking chaos. As I said, what have I said many times?
So, I just have to say that there was a statement that this was entirely consensual, and I'm not saying anything about that. I'm simply saying the idea that Epstein was just trafficking for himself is unlikely to be true, in my opinion. Later, Staley wrote to Epstein, "Say hi to Snow White." Epstein replied, "What character would you like next?" Staley responded, "Beauty and the Beast." And then Jeffrey Epstein said, "Well, one side is available."
The item is ready.
Again, the title of this video is The Worst Cover-Up of My Lifetime.
Civilian structure complete.
This is crazy. They're not even trying.
Military research complete.
They're not. That's what's so insane about this. They're not even trying. It's so bad. Yeah, they're not even trying to hide it.
Obviously, some type of coded message. You can read into that for yourself. But all of this is public. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what makes the government's memo so infuriating. Is so much reporting has already been done. These settlements with powerful figures under denials, yes, but also under very questionable circumstances, make just a complete denial and statement that all of this was just Epstein impossible to believe. In September 2009, Epstein also emailed a woman named Irina to tell her that Jess Staley is staying in the Berkeley Hotel in London tonight. Staley emailed Epstein the next day to say, "I should have taken your offer."
What the fuck is going on? This is insane. Who is Trump so scared of in the world that he's scared to release the files? I don't think that he's scared. I don't think scared is the word. I think that he doesn't want to release the files because it will implicate potentially himself and other people that he's aligned with and friends with. I think, though, Trump should realize at this point, bro, you survived an assassination attempt. Like, this is like, if there is any point that, like,
our fleet is
you
under
have
attack.
some sort of fucking authority to just do the right thing, the fact that you are alive says that. Two of them? Well, the second one wasn't direct, to be fair. And there's probably like 50 of them that we just didn't even hear about. So, Petrified, yeah, just fucking do it, man.
Research complete.
You shouldn't even be alive right now. Just do it. Oh, but it's gonna ruin all my friends' lives. That sucks. Too bad. Do it anyway. Fuck them. They had no problem roaching out on you after January 6th. And whenever you started becoming president, they flipped the script on you. No, fuck that. Fuck them. Do it anyway. They don't give a fuck about you.
According to the Times. There's also this book by one of the 60 Minutes correspondents called
Military
A Ticking Clock,
I think your
where
assumptions
he
are wrong.
says that he met with Ghislaine Maxwell, and he said, "I want the tapes." I said to Maxwell at a table at Regency Bar, "I know he was videotaping everyone. I want the tape of Trump with the girls." She didn't deny the existence of the tapes, but said, "I don't know where they are."
I don't know where they are implies they exist.
Apparently replied, "Ask Epstein," and she gave him a stern look and pointed a finger at my face. "I'm the daughter of a press baron. I know the way you people think. If you do one side, you must do the other. If you get tapes on Trump, you have to do Clinton." Now,
Civilian structure complete.
Great idea. Yep, these conditions are acceptable. You're telling me we get 2 and 1? Oh my God. I didn't think we could be so lucky. We're about to get a hard reset? Yes.
Again, what you make of a third-hand source like this, talking to Ghislaine Maxwell,
Military
who apparently
research
doesn't
complete.
deny that some of these tapes exist. Was she even telling the truth or just playing some game? Either way, this was all known about, not just by people after the fact, but allegedly by people during the fact. This is from Mark Epstein. It's sourced from Jeffrey Epstein. Quote, "If I said what I know about both candidates, they'd have to cancel the election."
This is Jeffrey Epstein's brother. What the fuck is going on? How is this happening? This is so obvious, though. Dark shit happens. Why are we so surprised? The issue isn't that it happens. I'm not...
Civilian
like, yes,
structure complete.
stuff like Jeffrey Epstein has been happening ever since the dawn of time. But it's the fact that it's happening
Looking
in
for
plain
something.
view and it's being protected. I'm not upset. In a way, I'm upset that it happened. It sounds bad to say that I'm not upset that it happened. Of course it's bad that it happened. But the real conversation here is about why it's
Yes,
not being
but don't have all day.
why it's not being dealt with, basically.
That's what Jeffrey
They will
told me
take
in
it under his
2016. So not even Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell allegedly were claiming this was all just between them. They
am
were
listening, my
constantly
friend.
insinuating that there were compromising things
What
on
about
various
his
powerful
regime?
people.
Why
What's fun-
can't we make these people testify? Why can't we make them give up the names? I don't understand why we don't do that. Fifth Amendment?
The item is ready.
The right to avoid
Standing
self-incrimination.
by. You made the right choice.
To testify against themselves. This isn't about themselves. Yeah, they can't self-report. That's fine. Yep. Time to tweak the law? Yeah, no, that's what it says. Yeah, that's clearly what it says. And also, by the way, if we can't force them to testify, there's no way that this was happening completely domestically, which means that there are probably other countries in the world that we could extradite them to that don't have the Fifth Amendment.
Moving out.
Now, what would I do? That's a good point. Oh, yeah. Russia, wherever.
Military research
Is there a precedent for
complete.
this? Seems like a perfect time.
Times
Most
of
countries have
war
something
are
similar.
upon us.
Well, that's okay. You only need to find
Ready
one that
for
doesn't.
Battle.
Yeah, you're telling, and this is what's
That's
so
more
annoying
like
about
it.
this. You're telling me the CIA and Guantanamo Bay was able to make those clowns stand on boxes
Reading you
looking
loud
like
and clear.
scarecrows while they're being electrocuted. You can waterboard people. You can torture them nonstop. But the only people that you can do this to are a bunch of random fucking terrorists in the Middle East.
the order.
And we can't do it to one of the most prolific human traffickers
Yes,
of all
sir.
time. Really? This is bullshit. This is bullshit. Where is the dark CIA? Where's the deep state when you need them?
Reading you loud and clear.
It's bullshit. The pussies. Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe this is too far. That sounds like bullshit to me. The one time we need him.
Let's show them what we're made of.
The
Standing
one
by.
time.
Funny is that Trump himself, even before he was in a position to declassify this stuff, had accused
day,
other
Commander.
powerful people of doing these things.
Bill Clinton.
Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island.
Why would you say this? Why would you say this?
I will take it under advisement. Aye?
Jeffrey Epstein.
That island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew.
You also have the fact that Jeffrey Epstein was in touch with other convicted pedophiles.
How convenient. Wow. Also, the problem is being on a flight log alone doesn't prove anything, and people's speculations alone also bring no consequence. Then release everything. In my opinion, this might sound like, again, I do think that the way that I solve most problems is very barbaric. But I think it works. When you have an infection on a limb, sometimes you can't cure the infection and you have to sever the entire limb. Even though there are cells inside of that limb that are not infected. Put out the information, put it all out, don't redact anybody's name, and sever the limb.
Standing by.
That's what I think they should do.
Opening fire.
Larry
Steady
Nasser,
on.
he was writing letters. So
Reading you
the idea,
loud and
once
clear.
again, that he
You
was
made
just
the
by
right
himself,
choice.
off by himself, doing things on his island by himself, and then taking calls with people like Bill Gates simply for philanthropic advice, really pushes the bounds of belief.
Somebody says, y'all want blood so bad you're turning your back on a patriot? How? I'm not against Trump. If I was against
Go
Trump,
ahead.
I would just be saying that, like, he's wrong, and I wouldn't be advocating for him to do anything.
Ready for orders.
The
deployment
reason why I'm
acknowledged.
saying this is because I think there's a chance that it can happen.
Standing by. Fleet created.
Like
Ready
the
for
reason why I'm
battle.
pushing for this is because I think that there is a critical mass that you
Weapons
can
at
make this
ready.
stuff come out with. And the reason why I'm talking about it a
Reading you
lot
loud
and
and
pushing it a
clear.
lot,
Control group
same
created.
with coffee, is because we are trying to reach that critical mass.
Good day, Commander.
That critical mass is
Fleet
what got Trump
created.
elected in the first
Ready
place.
for battle. Control group created.
Forget a close associate of Bill Gates was named a fallback executor on the will of Jeffrey Epstein, which he, by the way, said he was shocked by and he
Calmly
deeply regrets
active.
meeting Epstein.
Wow.
Bill Gates has said similar things to that effect. Of course, Bill Gates fraternized with Epstein after he was convicted of crimes. Previously, he told the Wall Street Journal, I didn't have any business
Our shields
relationship
are
or
down,
friendship
Commander.
with him. But in fact, he met multiple times with him at his Manhattan townhouse.
Once,
Now,
wait. Oh, Coffee, you
credits
didn't read the next
required.
sentence.
Ready for battle.
Once staying late into the night.
Comlink online.
Gentlemen, I think we may have a problem here. And I think we might have a little bit of a
Good day,
situation.
Commander. Yes, Commander. At once.
I don't know if you heard, but Kash Patel and Dan Boingo are considering resigning now. I'll look at it after this.
Manhattan townhouse. Now, once again, I have to say real
listening, my
quick,
friend.
all of these
We
people
go
are
now,
innocent until
yes?
proven guilty. All of them deny doing anything untoward.
That's true. They are innocent.
Point way to next conquest.
That's right. And I think
I
that
will
they're
take it
so
under
innocent
advisement.
that they should come forward and testify in front of Congress, in front of everybody, televised and just lay it all out. Like, did we really make the Patriot Act for nothing? Like, don't we get to cash in on our deep state surveillance state stuff? Like, you have all these logs, you have all these these phone recordings. You tapped everybody's phones. You've got everybody's internet logs. You've got everything.
Online.
Just put it out there.
But my point is, there are already too many associations to make the lone trafficker theory make any sense. For example, Jean-Luc Brunel was somebody who apparently trafficked a bunch of people to Epstein, who himself abused a bunch of women and even was charged for it. He was charged for some really awful things, and then
drugging and raping a 17-year-old girl. I see. And then on February, Brunel was found dead in his jail cell, and then he allegedly killed himself.
Now?
Huh. What are the... Wow. I'm sure not noticing a pattern here.
Later found dead in his cell. Interestingly, Epstein was actually a financier of Brunel's modeling agency, where a lot of this alleged abuse happened. So once again, the idea of the lone trafficker just doesn't make sense, because Epstein's directly linked to another guy who is also abusing women.
Yes.
So after all of this, they're really asking you to believe the unbelievable. They're asking you to not believe what they've said about this case, both out of office and now in power. They're asking you to not believe public reporting linking Epstein to other known They're asking you not to believe suspicious circumstances regarding settlements of powerful people. They're asking you to believe that Epstein was just the greatest tax advisor and financial advisor on the planet that all of these billionaires needed to consult, despite the fact that there are entire organizations built around providing the same service.
And also, by the way, here's a really good way to look at it. If Epstein was so good at doing their taxes and they needed Epstein to do their taxes, then why didn't they start paying more taxes after Epstein died? It's just so stupid. How are people... Oh my God. That's interesting. Yeah, duh.
I'm already there.
Oh, maybe he taught them the way. Like Yoda? I like that. Gave him the secret sauce. It was in his will.
This is this without the, links to crimes. They're asking you to believe that when people are talking about Snow White and Beauty and the Beast, they're referencing Disneyland. And they're especially asking you to believe that they have found 900 new victims since reviewing these files and exactly 0 new perpetrators. So,
what are the odds? I think this is the reason why people are so angry about this, is the blatant disrespect to the intelligence of the public. That anybody could even for a second believe any of this is not just total fucking bullshit.
Online. Good day,
it's insulting.
Fleet
it
deployment
is.
Acknowledged. Standing by. Good day, Commander.
I'm just not buying it personally. I find it insulting.
I'm just not. Yeah.
To the intelligence of every single person.
I've got a clean shot.
I agree. He's a smart guy. Look at that. Wow. How about that?
Weapons at the ready.
Who's ever looked at this story, and really makes me feel like this was a appropriate time to launch a Crime is Legal merch collection, to be honest.
Good one.
So this is probably my last video on this for a while, but just disgusting.
It won't be mine. I'll tell you that.
Yes, Commander.
And this is outrageous. Give CoffeeZilla some support. I really like this guy. It's his second channel. I do think, by the way, there is a way to force this into happening. I do. And before you think that it's impossible, you can do anything that you want if you can get enough people together.
Logistics upgrade complete.
anything that you want.
Times
You can change the entire Constitution.
Comlink active.
So just get more people together. It's that simple. Opinion, shitty millennial writing. That's what it is. And that's all it is.
And then iterate on that.
Yep.
You know, I've talked about this before, but I was in on Baldur's Gate 3's early access. Incredible journey. Developer notes were really detailed. The feedback that we would get, the panels from hell, the updates that they would do. The entire time, while they were collecting data, they were doing polls and stuff like that as well. But for the most part, they just sat back and watched how people interacted with the game.
Yeah, let's look at it.
What did people try to do the most? What did they, you know, what spells did they use? What classes did they pick? What choices did they make? They took
Are all theater kids bad? No, but all of the people that are bad are theater kids.
that data and then iterated on it, and they just acted as a tailor, fitting it like a glove to the player. And that's how you get great games. That's what you have to do nowadays. You can't come up with some pre-designed audience anymore. That doesn't work. You can't go and read social media. You can't watch, you can't listen to like things that are said on Twitter or on Reddit, because oftentimes people aren't really saying what they mean. They're just saying whatever they can to get the most people to agree with them, because they need that interaction. They need to be accepted, baby. Right here. Get that validation right into my vein.
Yeah, I've got to say the thing to make sure that everybody that I'm friends with knows that I'm on their side and I agree with them. Yep.
But that's what you have to do. You have to ignore that kind of stuff. You have to be dynamic. And I think a lot of these companies are still stuck in their ways. And because of that, it's leading to a lot of these games failing to find an audience. I love topics like this. You guys got to keep in mind, I am a marketing major that got into construction. I have a degree that I never got to use. The whole reason I made a YouTube channel to begin with was because I wanted to understand what players' needs were. I wanted to understand how these games were finding an audience or how they were failing to find an audience. And I wanted to be somebody that could advocate for games to be able to reach audiences better. I think that once I get a little bit more comfortable with YouTube and I feel a little bit more stable on the platform, I'll probably start to try to get into at least consulting with marketing and customer outreach and stuff like that, because I think that personally, I think I could do a lot of help. I don't know. There's probably plenty of people that are out there, especially on Reddit, apparently, that wouldn't want me to do anything of the sort.
Yeah, I've offered the same thing. I mean, a lot of game developers, like if somebody's making a game and like they want help, like for example, like a lot of sponsors that I do, they don't want to hear it, bro. Yeah, they do actually. Like a lot of sponsors that I've done before, Commander. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not gonna do it your way. I'm gonna do it my way, and let's just see how the numbers are. And then we do it my way. The numbers are really good, and I never hear a problem again. Nothing goes wrong.
So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yep.
But anyway,
hope
you guys enjoyed the video.
If
you guys did,
at your disposal.
Like the video, share it with your friends. Follow me on Twitch. Follow me on Twitter. People have been enjoying me over there. If you didn't like the video, well, I guess I'll see another post on Reddit.
Oh boy.
For that, my friends, stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, I think he cooked with this one, man. I really do. Like, it's almost like I didn't even really have a lot to add with this, because I just feel like he pretty much said what he needed to say. Like, I mean, that's the same thing that I would say, honestly. It's like, if you want to make a game that's not made for you, you tell that to enough people, and then you're just going to have a game that's made for no one, right? I mean, that's basically what happens. Look, guy, I like it. Yeah, there's the video. Give it a like. I watch a lot of the Legendary Drops videos. I think that they're really, really good. Oh, I saw this. Look at this. This is funny, bro. The studio for Avowed has they have a mole in the studio. They've got a man on the inside that's exposing what they're saying. Yeah, caught? I know.
Blower has come forward from Obsidian Entertainment, providing me with some actual...
So if there's anything good about the game, it's probably from him. That's how, you know what? That's how they should figure out who the leaker is. When the game comes out, look at the function of the game that's liked by players. That's the guy who leaked it.
Military structure complete.
Yep.
Comlink
Real simple.
Online.
screenshots
Just
of
fire him.
internal dialogue and conversations from Matt Hansen. And these screenshots that have been provided to me completely expose not just the toxic environment of Obsidian Entertainment currently, but how Matt Hansen himself is actively encouraging it and making it worse. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT.
Let's see
this
it.
is now the third
Commander.
different person associated with Obsidian Entertainment reaching
I should make a t-shirt that says gamers rise up and try to sell it and see how many I sell. That would be such a good idea.
Link active.
out to me. Like a one-off would be like, oh wow, okay, we got a whistleblower here. This is becoming like almost a daily trend where someone who works at Obsidian has had enough of the BS that they've been shoving down everyone's throat, and they want change to happen.
Okay, let's see it.
Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out smashjt.com for the full and extreme.
I think that there's probably a lot of people that are worried about their job. Because, like, if you have somebody at your work that you know is causing a bunch of problems, you know that eventually it is going to, it will affect you. Right? It's not going to happen overnight, but there will be a convergence point where you get fucked.
Exhaustive article going through
Gonna tank,
not just these screenshots, but additional information I've been told from other whistleblowers about Matt Hansen and his job security situation going on at Obsidian right now. Because this is getting insane. A whistleblower with internal information from Obsidian Entertainment has come forward with shocking screenshots and Slack messages from Matt Hansen, completely exposing the company's internal toxic culture.
Which, and this is also really important to say, is that any of this kind of stuff that you see, like, none of it was notarized by, like, you know, the state. Right? I mean, like, it's not like we have a video of it. It's a screenshot. So, like, you can take everything here with a grain of salt. You can never be certain that it's true. Could all be bullshit. Yeah, it's always important to say that.
Individual reached out to me with
always
a burner
be skeptical.
email to protect their identity, fearing that, once again, of course, severe backlash for daring to expose the truth would soon follow if their name got out there. And it's a trend we're seeing not just at Obsidian Entertainment, but the video game industry at large has turned into this cult-like mentality of...
I think that it's very interesting that if you think that if your ideas get out into the public, or what you do privately and what your values are privately get out to the public, that you'll be in trouble, maybe you should think about the quality of those values.
Loud and clear.
Maybe it's because the values are bad.
Blackballing anybody who dares speak out against the ideology, the message. The information they've shared with me is honestly pretty troubling, not just for Matt Hansen, but the entire environment that's been created over the past few years at Obsidian Entertainment. And it paints a very grim picture of what life is like now at one time, one of the industry's most beloved game development studios.
Well, that never lasts.
As with all my coverage with the video game industry, this insight I'm providing in this video is for informational purposes only. Please do not reach out, contact, or in any way, shape, or form harass any of the people I'm going to be naming in this video. The best way for us to fight back against the broken ideology is to simply shine a light on it and let nature run its course naturally on this. It's the only way, it's the best way, it's the right way. I've been sent
I think that's another reason why these people don't want to have these viewpoints exposed to the public. It's because they know that they can't exist in the free marketplace of ideas. They know that if people see them saying this, they will get called out for being ridiculous.
Of Slack messages from Obsidian's internal communications revealing a hostile and very toxic work environment led by none other than Matt Hansen, Obsidian's art director, someone who I've talked about in great detail in multiple videos previously. He oversees many employees at Obsidian and by all accounts fostered an awful atmosphere where ideological conformity is not just encouraged but demanded. And if you step out of line or dare question it, you're the next person on the chopping block. The internal Slack messages reveal a disturbing trend of certain employees at Obsidian banding together to ridicule and berate not just Elon Musk, but also going at Grums on Twitter. These people have Grum's derangement syndrome and Musk derangement syndrome.
Why does everybody hate Mark Kearns so much?
I'm already there.
I can see like not liking his opinions, but I feel like the level of vitriol that Mark Kern gets is crazy. It's like what? Because he's the biggest on Twitter, I guess. His takes are a bit deranged. Yeah, but there's a lot of people that are deranged, right? What I'm saying is, like, I don't think that he's, like, any more... Is he more deranged than other people? I feel like there's a lot of people that are deranged.
They cannot stand people on the other side of their ideologies. And with some of the things that are said here, publicly on the Slack, internally at Obsidian, is pretty sketch. Schwa Alvarez shared the photo that many people have already seen, where Elon Musk was pointing out how pronouns were in this role-playing game, and how pronouns have no place in role-playing. And instead of them talking about this and trying to maybe put their heads together and reevaluate what the gamers want, they are celebrating it internally on their Slack channel, where Schwa Alvarez says, "We've done it," clapping, clap.
I do think that there is a large percentage of people, I don't know whether it's majority, I think that it's probably becoming a majority if it's not, like this amount of people is going up, that people, it's kind of like, you know, you can't fault humans for pattern recognition, really. And I think it's very obvious that like games that try to enforce pronoun usage are oftentimes games that have other types of unpopular, weird social messaging. So I think people seeing pronouns and they're like, oh, geez, it's going to be one of these games, right? And so where there's smoke, there's fire. Exactly. And so I don't think people really have a problem with the pronouns themselves. Like some people do, but it's that they exist inside of a larger ideology that comes with them.
Clapping, sharing the image of Elon Musk pointing out how there's pronouns, and then Schwa follows it up with, "Let me know if this is too political and I'll delete it. Just thought it was funny, getting a shout out from the man himself."
I'm going to be honest, him saying that, there's nothing wrong with him saying that. There's nothing wrong with it at all. Wow, one of the most famous and richest people in the world talked about your game in a public place. Yeah, of course you'd mention this. There's nothing wrong with him saying that. That's not bad, no.
And honestly, taking a step back here, sure, it was out of line to share this, but at least...
I disagree. I don't think it was out of line at all. It's directly related to their work, and it's one of the most influential people in the world talking about it. I don't think there's anything wrong with him sharing it.
Schwa was like, hey, if this is too political, I'll take it off the Slack, because honestly, they realize it's probably pretty unprofessional to share this and talk like this. They're just trying to own the chuds and can't help but celebrate it. But this goes to the toxic culture that's been created there, because Justin Bull replies with, "This is a badge of honor. We did well." And
yeah, with a surprise, with the parentheses, he, him. Yep, there we go.
Loud and clear.
And, yep, easy. That's it, yeah. And so this is really where it does kind of become a problem, where people, their idea of success is making other people unhappy who disagree with them. This is just generally not a very good creative, it's not a very good creative motivation. What does chud mean? Chud means stupid conservative, basically.
Everybody's celebrating it with emojis and replying, and you notice a trend with all of these people I'm sharing, for the most part, include pronouns after their name. It's pretty curious that the odds of all these people have pronouns and they just happen to all work together. Or have they cultivated this environment, making sure that people have gotten through the process?
And the funny thing also is that the only person who's not obnoxious and annoying is the person who didn't have pronouns in their name.
Good day, Commander.
Because if you look at this guy doesn't have it. It's all the other people that have it. And so he was the only one that wasn't obnoxious and annoying.
All these people have pronouns, they just happen to all work together? Or have they cultivated this environment, making sure that people have gotten through?
You can't speak in a gender-neutral way in lots of languages. Yeah, I wonder why.
the process.
Standing by.
And that's one of the steps you have to pass. You share pronouns, and then you're accepted into this cult. Daniel Chamberlain replied with, "I've never been more proud."
Opening
And
fire.
Jay Turner said,
Steady on.
"Hey everyone, pack it up. We lost drums." Think about this for a second. This is an internal Slack conversation, and this is what these people think about. Instead of focusing on
Our
making
fleet is
a
under
great
attack.
game, they're looking at how do we take down Elon Musk and own the chuds and make
Weapons
Grums
at
look
ready.
bad. And like, this is how they're approaching their work? Where did we go wrong? And Hello Rosenberg said, "LOL, this was literally my suggestion bug to add pronouns
Military
to the
research
menu.
complete.
I do this."
Item
And
complete,
I
would you
Commander.
want this?
Comlink
Oh, it keeps going.
followed up with, "I kept forgetting what pronouns we picked for our QA saves and wanted to make sure our gendered dialogue was picking the right pronouns."
Let's show them what we're made of. Weapons at the ready.
Oh, God.
Can I do out?
Man. How fucking obnoxious. Jesus, how obnoxious. So retarded. It is. Are they not ashamed of this convo leaking? I don't know. I think that they probably think that they're right. Like, it's kind of what I said before, is like, even, and these people are in no way, shape, or form, you know, on that same level.
Additional credits required.
A lot of dictators and, like, horrible people in history, most of them think that they're the good guy.
Ready.
There
for
are very
battle.
few people who think that
Our
they're the
shields
bad
are down,
guy,
Commander.
and they do
Good
this.
day, Commander.
From their point of view, they're doing the right thing.
Aye.
Now, the right thing might be bad
Good
from the
day,
point of view of most other
Commander.
people, but they do believe they are doing the right thing. And also, again, I find it to be funny. The most obnoxious posts or the least obnoxious posts are made by the people that don't have it next to their name.
Let's show
Hey
'em
everyone,
what
we
we're
lost
made
Grumps.
of.
Okay, yeah, fine, it's whatever.
Weapons
Yeah,
at
sure,
the
fuck this
ready.
guy, it's whatever. But it's these people. I'm so proud that I made this guy mad. Yeah,
Civilian
it's just-
research complete.
I mean, I can't help but see the pattern there.
Coming from someone who was a former QA tester, I can speak to this and say, okay, I might be able to understand and grasp at that stage of the game.
Sure.
But keeping
Let's
them in
show 'em
after
what
you've
we're
done all the
made
QA
of.
goes to show
Item
that
complete,
you really
Commander.
don't need the pronouns in there.
Open
It was
and
something for the
fire.
testing,
Steady on.
potentially required, but putting them in and leaving them there is just giving people who don't want them a giant FU.
Yeah.
Olivia Burkhead shared the photo of triggering conservative snowflakes is so hot right now. And Matt Hansen
That's definitely that. Those are the people that you want making creative content. Oh yeah, triggering conservative snowflakes. Right, of
Weapons
course.
at the ready.
I wonder how many people she has blocked on Twitter, and how many things that she has muted, and how many people think she thinks should get banned on social media for saying things that she disagrees with. This is always it. It's people, conservatives and snowflakes. Well, the thing is that this is the problem. So it's like a
Our
false
shields are down,
equivalency
Commander.
where people like that add something into the game that's unpopular, and people
Open and
voice
fire.
their
Steady
concern
on.
and they say, we don't like this, we're not going to buy this. And they think that people are triggered because of that. Well, in a way, I mean, you could say that, but the truth is that they just simply don't agree with
Weapons
you.
at the ready.
And it's kind of like an emotional escalation of a disagreement in order to make the person who you disagree with
That's
seem
more like it.
unreasonable. So instead of saying that they disagree with you, you're saying that they're pissing their pants angry, or they're, you know, having a meltdown or something like that.
crippled.
So you emotionally escalate the language
Standing by.
to create the assumption that the
Ready
other
for
person is
battle.
behaving irrationally. And this is very, very common. And once you see it happen, it becomes like you see it everywhere.
Open and
Where are you pulling
fire.
this data from?
Steady on. Let's
My own
show 'em
personal
what we're
experience
made of.
and just what I've observed myself. Have you guys observed the same thing? Like, I've observed this a lot. Yeah.
Our shields are down, Commander. We're going down, Commander.
comes in, and you would think this is when a leader at a company would say, all right, guys, you know, having some fun, okay. Let's bring it back to work. Let's focus back on what we're doing here.
Comlink
We had our little
online.
jokes aside with this, and we're good with it, but okay, let's focus on the game, right? Nah, of course not. This is Matt Hansen. This rules. I am fully giddy over it. Good going, everybody. And people clicking the evil Patrick looking.
I have to say that I think it's kind of funny that his profile picture is a guy soy facing. It might actually just be him.
Planet item complete.
I think it's very fucking funny. And
Shields
oh god.
Over someone emoji for people agreeing with him. This is how a leader cultivates an extremely toxic work environment by being very negative about things that honestly, on the whole, most gamers would say, hey, we're kind of on the side with Crumbs. We kind of agree with Elon. And even if the people who don't, many people just want
it's also that like some people might find it weird, but the problem I think that a lot of people have is that when you try to have a measured conversation about this, you are misrepresented and labeled as some sort of word that's defined in order to make you stop expressing yourself. So I think that a lot of people basically are kind of ambivalent towards pronouns, but I think what's happened is that the seemingly forced inclusion of them that's combined with the seemingly like you can't criticize this, you can't talk about it, you can't say this is bad, you can't be against it without being misrepresented. I think that a lot of average, reasonable people see that, and they see how dishonest it is, and it automatically alienates them away from the perspective. I think that's what happens. Because I feel like there's a lot of people who don't want to be, because they can empathize with the person who expresses a genuine concern or disagreement with something, or they just don't have the same viewpoint on it. But then when that person gets alienated, isolated, and then turned into a villain, well, I think a lot of people can empathize because they probably have, like, recently there was like this really popular tweet going around on Twitter, and it was, what was your most unwoke opinion, right? And a lot of people, the reason why it was so popular is because a lot of people, it's kind of like a getting it off my chest type thing. And that now that that type of ideology doesn't have as much of a stranglehold, people feel more able to express how they feel. And I think that there's a fundamental human desire to be able to express yourself and live your life and not have to live a lie, right? You don't have to like constantly acknowledge something that isn't true or anything like that. So be free. Yeah, people want to be free, and they don't like being told what to do. It's really just that simple. So I think that if you break it down to that level, and then you understand that people empathize with the person who's getting demonized for just having an opinion that's slightly off-center, I think that's why you see so many people that have been radicalized against it.
Good day, Commander.
Good game. It's not about
controlling people.
Us versus them and this, that, the other thing. It's just make a good game at the end of the day. And it goes to show just how in their heads we are by daring to want good video games. Gray Seal replied with, stupid will be
And I also want to say, too, that this ideology will permeate the entire game. People like this, they don't compartmentalize the way that they think about this in one aspect of their life. It will affect the entire game. I guarantee it. There will be all kinds of weird messaging. There will probably be different dumb things in the game like that. There will be the same types of, like, you know, reverse stereotyping that happens. Yeah, it's not like they just check this at the door and they only have this for Elon Musk and that's it. No, it's an entire top-down ideology that affects everything.
Stupid, but I'll never get over how insane of a hill pronouns are to die on. Like, if you have to pretend it's not an effing backbone of language/grammar and then argue what, you shouldn't be able to choose what people effing call you in a role-playing game?
I think the reason why people don't like it is because it goes against... So the problem is that pronouns create... This is, I think, reason why a lot of people don't like it, is that it creates a... Basically... an expectation that you will provide them yourself, which turns into effectively compelled speech. So when people didn't have pronouns in 2021, like when AOC didn't have pronouns, who cares? Well, they do. That's why they put them in the game. They care a lot about this. That's why they're putting it in the game. So And also, when they care a lot about it, you can also assume that they care about other things too. So in order for you to die on a hill, it requires somebody else to be willing to kill you on it. And the fact is that if a lot of people don't like pronouns, and this is something that's like a very outspoken problem with players, why are you the ones that are dying on the hill of pronouns? Why are you building the hill to begin with? Why are you doing this? So if this is this unpopular ideology, then just take it out. It's their game. Well, yeah, but it's my Twitter account or my Reddit account or, you know, Elon Musk's, and so they're gonna say what they think too. Like, everybody is entitled to think this, but what my point is that when you bring out a game that has a bunch of unpopular messaging or things that don't resonate with an audience, you can't blame your audience and demonize them and then act like a victim. At the end of the day, video games are art, but they're also a consumer product. And if your consumer product doesn't meet the expectations of the market, you will fail in the market, and everybody in your company will be out of a job. So the problem is that this ideology is actually, and this is one thing that I find to be, I actually think this is one of the most dangerous things that a lot of people have now, is what I would consider conspicuous, selfish empathy and moralism. And what I mean by that is that these are the kinds of people who want to give second chances to murderers and abusers and bad actors and criminals. And then the result of their actions that make themselves feel good are that other people are in a materially dangerous, more dangerous situation in real life. And so what happens a lot, yeah, bleeding hearts. Well, yeah, exactly. But the thing is that it's not their heart that bleeds, it's somebody else's. And so what these people do is that they're happy to write checks for your time, your money, and your well-being so they can feel good about themselves. And as soon as you realize that everything and all of what they're saying is not based off of like a principle, and they don't live up to this principle themselves in a lot of cases. But these are people that are living in gated communities up north that are talking about how great illegal immigration is. Well, you don't even have any illegal immigrants there. How do you know this? You have no idea. You're talking about this as if it's just theoretical. But you're more than willing to cash that check for somebody else. And so that's what I'm saying before. It's this selfish form of empathy and altruism that these people try to display in order to be seen as a good person. And oftentimes the outcome of that is that it will hurt everybody else around them. And I think that's what this is going to do. And so this form of, you know, performative altruism will end up causing people to probably lose their job at the studio ultimately. Because this is creating a lot of negative press for the game, and it will create a massive negative reaction to the game when it releases. This is what will happen. And when those people lose their job, you know, all these people that are talking about this and like, you know, congratulating themselves for like adding this stuff into the game and saying about how good it is to trigger people, what do you think they're going to say? Doesn't matter, really. Doesn't make a difference. Hopefully, yeah. It'll happen, guaranteed. And it might not happen with this game, but it'll probably happen in 2 games or 1 game from now. A lot of times, you know, studios don't die with 1 game. They die with 2 or 3 games that continuously lose quality.
Yes.
I doubt Avowed sales are going to be impacted by this. People love Obsidian games. How could you say that with the, like, I mean, I feel like BioWare is known more than Obsidian. Maybe that's just my own personal perspective. But I feel like Dragon Age is an existing IP. And it's made by a really big studio. I think that Dragon Age was set up more to succeed than Avowed was. So I think that judging off of like the name value of an IP and then also a known studio, I think that if Dragon Age could fail, Avowed could very easily fail.
You got the full
That's what
weight
I'm
of
saying.
a starbase at your disposal. Item complete, Commander. No armor!
I'm like, bro.
Opening fire.
No, that's
Steady
not
on.
what pronouns are
Let's
for. That's
show
not how they
what
work.
we're made
You're
of.
using pronouns as
Opening
titles,
fire.
not
Steady
pronouns. That's the problem. How do you not see the difference here? Well,
Well, the reason why they can't see the difference is because they think that they is an accurate word to describe an individual.
Weapons at the ready.
If you look at the way that the English language is constructed, they is plural. Like, a lot of people don't use it that way.
Good
But
day,
she, they,
Commander.
so I think that would probably explain why they're so loopy with their thinking. Matt Hansen replied, he is not a bright man. About Elon Musk. Okay, so...
I think that whenever, and this is one thing that I always notice,
Steady on.
anytime that somebody tries to make an intelligence,
Comlink online.
like a, what's the word for it? Like a judgment on intelligence of a successful person, and it's almost always a negative thing. The reason for it is because they're stupid. They're the ones that are stupid, and they look at success or why something is happening in a very one-dimensional way, and they can't see other people who disagree with them as being intelligent.
Good day, Commander.
Like, anytime that I see somebody say that, like, somebody like Elon Musk or Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg is stupid, I immediately assume that they're stupid.
Active.
And I've never been wrong.
Easily done.
The richest man in the world, or at least
Good
one of
day,
the richest
Commander.
men in the entire
Yes,
world,
Commander. At
who
once.
has run
Our planet is
an
under
electric
siege.
car company, runs a social media company,
Easily done.
runs a robotic company, an AI company, and has his hands in a lot of
Ready
different
for
areas
battle.
of everything
Standing by.
of society, and is trying to push society further, go to Mars, create SpaceX. Like, this guy
I
has
am
done
listening, my
more
friend.
things this far in his
Legal
life
now,
than
yes?
half of humanity combined together up to
Wait,
this
wait,
point.
till next
But yeah,
conference.
sure. You can just say, Elon Musk, he's just an idiot. I just think he's really dumb.
will
When in
take
reality,
this under
the fact
advisement.
is, Matt, you are jealous of Elon Musk's success, and because it flies in the face of your ideology, you're calling him dumb.
Aye.
Remy Tedesco.
I agree with that for sure. I do. I think that's what it is. Yet they always call people dumb. I hate when people worship him.
Open
It's obvious
fire.
Elon Musk is a very
Steady on.
intelligent person
Weapons
who
at the
has a
ready.
lot of visionary
Let's
viewpoints
show
on
them
things
what
that he has in
we're
some
made
cases made into a
Open
reality.
Fire. Steady on.
If
Let's
that's
show
not
them
intelligence,
what
then
we're
what
made of.
is?
Weapons
How
at
do you
the
define,
ready.
like, what is
Good
intelligence?
Day, Commander.
Yeah, a decade ago, they were the ones praising him? Yeah, exactly. He's an investor? Yeah. And he made good calls. Warren Buffett's an investor, too. He's a really smart guy. Charlie Munger was an investor.
Our shields
Really
are down,
smart
Commander.
guy.
We're going down,
Absolutely.
Commander.
replied, can luminaries have negative luminance values? And Peter Wano replied with, isn't that a dimwit? Which I guess now they're doing dad jokes against Elon Musk because they're all
You've got
in
the
agreement
full
that
weight
he's
of
not
a
intelligent.
starbase at your
But what these
disposal.
people are forgetting is this is a public Slack channel that people are chatting on at Obsidian and partner networks that are
Man.
in it. So people all
Comlink
see this.
active.
And these people are so
Ready
indoctrinated
for
with their own
battle.
propaganda and ideologies that they just
Yes,
think
Commander,
everyone is
at
in the
once.
cult with them.
Yeah.
When in reality, they're not. And they're not accepting of this kind of approach to life. John
No,
Winnick-
they're not, and they're so they're not accepting to it so much to an extent that the reason why
An
they
excellent
think
plan.
he's stupid is
Ready
because he
for
doesn't
battle.
agree with them.
Easily
If he
done.
agreed with them, they would think he's the smartest person in the world.
Gore replied with, not
Yeah,
too
it's
late
that
to
simple.
add a rat creature to the game and name it elongated muskrat that indistinctly mumbles something about
Aye.
pronouns and drops shoddy blood-soaked
The item
emeralds
is ready.
when you stab it. Which, I mean...
What the fuck? Bro, like, what is this? This is amazing.
Comlink
Yeah, I don't get
active.
this. What is this?
Standing
Immediate
by.
low IQ tout?
Ready
Yeah,
for battle.
I'll read your comment. Not
Fleet
L
deployment
take. A lot of Elon
acknowledged.
dick riders here.
Good day, Commander.
What
Control
part of
group
what I said
created.
isn't true? L take? Yeah, no. What is it? There was a lot of Elon Musk dick
Fire at
riders
will.
here. What does that have to do with anything? So you're basing your opinion off of
Comlink
somebody
active.
based
Yes,
off of
Commander,
other people's
at
opinions
once.
of them?
Easily done.
So it's like other people like this guy, so I'm not gonna like this guy.
That's
What?
more like it.
I don't understand what this thinking is. What's the conclusion of this? I don't want to waste too much time on this. Yeah, Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. He roached out. He did. He did. He completely roached out.
I'll be honest. I'll give him credit here. It's actually it's pretty funny. Except when you consider that that's a person, and now you are putting their name on them and trying to murder them in a game and make light of it. Which I got to take a step back and be like, where did we go wrong here? Where did we?
Yeah, that's a really weird thing to say. I'm gonna be honest. Like, putting a character into a game that's supposed to represent or be an allusion to a real person, and then you get some sort of reward or something happens whenever you kill the character. This is something that either a third grader or a person with a mindset of a third grader thinks. Like, it's really weird. Yeah, it's just super weird.
Lose our way
it's weird
with making the
obsessive,
RPGs fun and having a good time with them, instead of force injecting ideologies into the game and trying to get a win just to own the chuds at the end of the day. What are we doing? These leaked messages from the internal Obsidian Slack reveal an environment where ideological hostility takes precedence over any sort of professional behavior. Employees are
or even just normal human behavior, because they dehumanize people who disagree with them. And I think the best example of that is the elongated muskrat. That's not a person. There you go. It's what they do.
In taking increasingly hostile jabs at Musk, where one was even suggesting mocking him through in-game content and killing him. Then we have someone like Brianna Seal, who goes by she, they, joining in increasing the fervor with a statement saying, "I'll never get over how insane of a hill pronouns are to die on." And of course, somebody with she, they pronouns would be saying, hey, saying pronouns aren't a big deal is not a good thing, because we should be putting pronouns in everything. And if you're trying to say they shouldn't be in the game, then that's your problem, and don't die on that hill. While this
exactly. This is it's again kind of what I was saying before about how people who are, who are trying to push you into something, it's a very effective form of gaslighting to extrapolate or to radicalize your opinion into making it seem like more ridiculous or more insane than like what you actually thought.
Item complete, Commander.
Person is trying to die on the hill of why they're important. These people are lost in their own ideologies, thinking that the rest of the world are the crazy ones, unable to look internally at their own.
Yeah, never let anybody tell you who cares to this, because they care. That's the way they're at. That's why they're adding it.
Ready for
and saying
battle.
Who cares is just to insult your intelligence and make you shut up. That's it.
Faults. They're latching on to what is accepted. And in doing so, creating an unwelcome environment to actual developers at the company that care about the game that they're working on. And like a previous inside whistleblower told me, is not everyone at Obsidian is a bad person. In fact, many of the developers there are hardworking, good developers that care, that want these games to be great. And they're dealing with these internal pressures and struggles from people like Matt Hansen, creating this environment, allowing it to flourish there. It's really as simple as that. A completely different whistleblower recently reached out to me, revealing that Matt Hansen is reportedly protected by the higher-ups at not just Obsidian, but...
I could see that not lasting. I think that nobody is protected ever. And the moment that they start losing money for the company, they're gone. Like, he might have friends there or something like that. Oh, yeah, for sure. But after that, it doesn't matter. The guy needs to be sacked? Yeah, I mean, I think he does too. And by the way, never feel bad about saying that, because if you said something that was politically incorrect from his viewpoint, he would be one of the first people that would be promoting and trying to advocate for you being fired from your job. This is the exact kind of person that does stuff like that. So never feel bad for people like this.
Microsoft proper, with his job being completely secure at this time, despite the growing backlash and the constant toxic work environment that he himself has contributed to cultivate. And taking a step back just from hearing that information, especially considering everything else that's come to light regarding the toxic behavior and leadership styles, it makes you wonder, if the protection is indeed the case here, why is that? It almost seems like Microsoft themselves is in agreement with, or at least complicit in, the way Hansen is acting. And that
the reason why they're in agreement with it is because they're ideologically captured by this viewpoint. Because their entire probably HR and marketing departments are filled with people that think like this. So there's never even a point where it can be discussed in a rational way without it being tied to the inevitable conclusion that they're right. So that's the reason why it keeps happening. And this is why I think these studios are going to have a really hard time getting rid of these people. It's because these people effectively have infected these studios in these different points of like art, like whether it's like movies, TV shows, like Netflix stuff, like The Witcher, for example, or like a video game. They've infected this at a very, very deep level. And in my opinion, I don't think that you can get them out. I don't think you can get rid of them, and I think that they will kill the entire studio. That's what my perspective is. I think they will completely kill it. They're a cancer? Yeah. The studio will shut down? Yeah, and you see this happen constantly. Corporations still think that's what gamers want. It's more than that. They, maybe for the people that think that that's not what gamers want, they're still terrified of the idea of acting against it because they're worried about being labeled or slandered as if they were like haters of this ideology. They're worried about getting canceled, basically, right? And so this is basically, and this is how, again, this is how these people wield power, right? There's this ecosystem of grievances that these people use in order to maintain a power structure, right? And so like what they do is there are like journalists and there's media that tries to push the narrative that this is important and that you need to have this, and that media itself, art, should be graded on these criteria. And then they create the necessity for people in the company to solve the problem that media creates. And then you can see how these things keep together, right? And there's like an ecosystem for it. So they necessitate each other. And then you also have just groups of people online that think this way too. It's a DLC system, create problems so they sell solutions. Yeah, exactly. It's like having energy in a gacha game. Why do you have energy in a gacha game? Well, I'll tell you why. It's so you can sell the solution to energy. This is the same thing fundamentally.
Itself raises serious questions about the company's stance on fostering healthy, and this is what they always say, inclusivity at the workplace, when what they're doing is creating an environment of hostility and toxicity where if you are not part of it, then you are the outcast, and ergo you are next on the chopping block because you don't fit in with like-minded people. It's time for us to shine a big spotlight on these actions and hold leaders
I agree with him on this. I think that these people do need to be held accountable, and the public needs to be aware of the kinds of things that they say and do. This is it's a very extremely unpopular ideology, and it's held together by a group of people that maintain a stranglehold on communication, and that stranglehold was broken by Elon Musk when he bought Twitter, and that's why they hate him. And the fact is that in any sort of public space, this thinking immediately dies, and it's immediately seen as ridiculous. That's why they're afraid of it getting out. They're afraid of it getting out because deep down inside, they know that they're wrong. They know that what they're doing is self-indulgent, belligerent, childish, and mean. They hate free speech. Exactly.
Matt Hansen accountable for fostering toxicity in the workplace. Commander. Studios like Obsidian need to be places where creativity and innovation thrive, not where employees are bullied into ideological submission. Gamers,
and you shouldn't hate on anybody in the company that doesn't speak out against this, because a lot of people are just people that want to have a job and you know, like let's say they do art for this game and they just want to do the art for the game and that's it. They don't have, like, not everybody has to be a soldier in your army. There's no, if you're not for us, you're against us. There are people that say, I don't care about this. That's fine. If you don't give a shit, totally fine. The only issue is when you tell other people they can't give a shit, or you tell people that they can't give a shit, and they have to care.
Deserve better. Developers deserve better. And most importantly, the entire video game industry on the whole deserves better. And at this rate, the only thing we can do to fight back is to just shine a spotlight on it, air this dirty laundry out for everyone to see. And hopefully, naturally, change will happen and shift the game industry back to a better place. And I already feel like that's kind of starting. But we got a long way to go. Anyways, I've already droned on enough with this. There is a lot more information if you guys are interested in taking a deep dive. Check out smashjt.com for the full article. I will link it in the description below. If you guys appreciate what I'm doing, hit that join button. Thank you so much to this whistleblower that reached out. I know it took a very brave person to do this and share these messages.
It's also really important to keep in mind that all of this could be fake. I remember when there was like something shared of a game recently that was just turned out to be totally fake. You should never take, like, I mean, like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, right? But like, I've used this video primarily to talk about like a meta issue and not exactly about like what's being said specifically word for word and who's wrong and who's right. Like, except for like at the beginning with that first guy, I guess. But otherwise, we don't really know whether any of this happened or not. And let's be real. It seems too tame to be fake. I also agree that I think that it's real. If I didn't think it was real, I wouldn't have talked about it, right? But me thinking that it is isn't the same as it being.
Ready for battle.
I know exactly what's going to transpire now. Instead of Obsidian taking a step back and looking internally and trying to reevaluate what they're doing, they're going to start looking for who this person was and find out what happened and how this leak got out there.
It's real simple to find out who did it. Look at the person who, when the game comes out, their work was well received by players. That's the person who did it.
Complete wrong approach, and I hope I'm wrong about that, but I think we already know better. But hopefully, eventually, they start realizing internally that the problem is with them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing. And it goes to show just how in the heads people are with these...
Ready for battle.
Good one. Yeah, I'll be honest, like, I feel like a lot of these posts, a lot of this wasn't really that bad, but I think towards the end, it definitely got weird. Especially with like talking about like finding an animal and making it named after Elon Musk, and then being able to, not too late to add a rat creature to the game and name it Elongated Muskrat that distinctly mumbles something about pronouns and drops shoddily blood-soaked nimbrels when you stab it. Like, in my opinion, like if I worked at a company, I wouldn't say anything else in this entire thread was problematic at all. But if I did work at a company and I was in charge, I would say to this person, like, you have to delete that. Like, you can't talk like this in a public professional setting. Like, this is, it's totally over the line. Like, that's the only one that I think is actually over the line. Super unprofessional. Yeah, so no humor. When the humor is based around creating caricatures of real people and then killing them, no. Yeah, no, that's not. It's the same as like you don't really make race jokes at work, right? There are obvious, like, you don't make jokes about like how the female employees are fat or ugly or how big their boobs are. Like, everybody knows this. Like, a lot of us have been in professional spaces before. We understand how to act. We know what the difference between humor and you know, grotesque bad behavior is. It's obvious.
Active.
So yeah, it's that
battle.
simple. I just think Obsidian, based on the quality of the recent games, is worthy of benefit of the doubt over whether this is real or not. It matters. I think that I will play the game when it comes out regardless. This is a good video. I hope JT's right about this, because I feel like the more times that like people push leaks around and then they are turned out to be fake, people, like, it just makes everybody look stupid. But yeah, you know the difference. A lot of people don't. Yeah, but other people's stupidity doesn't mean that it's my problem. And so it's the same thing that I've said with my stream. It's like I've always said in like any of like my guilds in like video games, it's like, if you're being annoying, you will be kicked out. And then somebody says, I don't know what being annoying is, I'm just gonna kick you out right now. Because every normal person knows what that is. Yeah, really. Rip Bozo. You're done. Okay, you don't understand? Great. Let's save everybody some time. Yep, agree. Grounded opinion. Yep, absolutely. Oh, no, that's me. I'm autistic. No, I think that even people who are autistic can mask their behavior in polite company, and they should be expected to. If you have any sort of a condition that causes you to make other people uncomfortable or other people feel weird, the moment that, like, I'm very understanding of people that have mental issues, but that understanding goes to literally zero the moment those mental issues affect other people in a material way. So if you're doing something to make other people uncomfortable, or you're being hostile or angry towards people because you're mad or you don't know how to act, now that's a you problem. Because you're responsible for how you behave around other people. Yeah, your safe space shouldn't come at the cost of other people's safe space. That's exactly right.
Weapons at the ready.
Yep, you're totally right. It's that simple. And I'm surprised there hasn't been enough pushback to get this stuff out of the office. It's impossible to do it because these people will claim that if you go against them, you're like some sort of like a bigot or it's like discrimination. So that's the reason why I think that you can't really get rid of it. And what's going to end up happening is that they're going to have to shut down studios that have this problem. And I don't think it's ever going to stop or go away. I know it's kind of like maybe a doomer take on this, but that's really what my viewpoint on it is. So yeah. The truth about 7 out of 10 games. Why is every game a 7 out of 10? Do you want to know why I think a lot of games are a 7 out of 10? It's because the people that do reviews are afraid of giving really bad reviews to popular studios because of access journalism. Nah, man, that's the Matrix. Here's the thing. Is that the Matrix was real. IGN gave Death Stranding a 6. Well, let's take a look.
I can't believe it's happened again. I'm sick of seeing it everywhere. It haunts me. It's in my nightmares. It's in all of my waking hours. It's everywhere. The number 7. Another games journalist has given another video game a 7 out of 10. And today I'm going to tell you why that's fairly common, actually, because there is, like, a pretty good reason for it, or maybe not necessarily a good reason. I'm not trying to color this reason in any direction. It's just a reason that you see 7 out of 10s as being common, to the extent where we now sometimes refer to 7 as, like, an average, which is weird, but let me just explain. First, if you don't know me, sometimes people meme on me for mentioning this, but you'd be surprised the amount of people who comment on my videos who don't even know what my current job is and assume that I'm a full-time YouTuber, let alone a job I used to have, so that's why I sometimes say it. Turns out people don't know stuff. And I used to work at IGN. I was a writer there for 3 whole years, which makes me exceptionally qualified.
I didn't know that.
The most professional, lauded source on the internet. Educated to such a high degree. I started, and I feel like that really sells it. The one person on the planet equipped to tell you that step 1, before we get into the rest of this video, is some of y'all take game reviews way too seriously. I will explain why the 7 out of 10 is so common and why it's...
To me, it's like if somebody puts out a bullshit game review, I think absolutely you should call it out. Yeah. No, I'm about it. Like, I want to see it.
Memed because it's so common and that it doesn't make sense. I feel like so many conversations about game reviews would be like so much more chill if you just remember that it's just some fucking guy's opinion. I used to be that fucking guy. It's just some fucking guy has an opinion on something. That's all a game review is. The fucking guy who writes the review is no more or less qualified to have an opinion on any other fucking guy on the street about a game. That is my genuine opinion. That is the opinion that I held when I did it and got paid.
No, she's right about that. And that's a fucking fact. That's what I wish more people realized, is that if you're a game reviewer, what do you think? The people that are writing these reviews have some sort of like divine insight into video games? Get the fuck out of here. No, they don't. They're playing the same games that you are, probably worse than you do. So what do you mean? Yeah, they barely play games. They probably don't play the games as much as you do, right? At least specific ones, right? Absolutely.
Ready for battle.
For it, I personally do not consider game reviews to be journalism, even though they technically are by definition of the word, but again, it's just...
The problem is that when the game reviewers put in The problem is not that game reviewers are held to a higher standard. The problem is that game reviewers have different standards than customers have. And I think that's where the really big issue is that game developers, or sorry, game journalists review games on criteria that actual players don't care about, and vice versa. They don't review based on things that players do care about. And so there's like a massive misrepresentation that happens.
Fucking guy's opinion, man. And they certainly are not objective and do not strive to be and shouldn't be, because they are opinion-based. They are not reporting, they're just, oh, fucking guy has an opinion. And to be clear, before somebody gets upset with me, not being sexist here, women can also be some fucking guy. Like I said, I used to be some fucking guy. Gender neutral. It's really just that the guy who does it for IGN has an editorial policy that he has to abide by, probably has more writing experience than the average person, and more people will read it. But that is really the only difference. No one's opinion on a video game is any more or less valid than anybody else's. The only exception to that, and like I feel that way about films and stuff too, the only exception to that is when in my opinion, someone who has a ton of expertise is the one reviewing something. Tarantino, not just some fucking guy. Miyazaki, Hideo Kojima, not just some fucking guy. They go beyond the sphere of some fucking guy in which all of the rest of us exist. But otherwise, 100% of us, IGN, GameSpot, Kind of Funny, you in my comments section, we're all just some fucking guy. It's actually pretty crazy when you think about it. Like, really, the whole world is just run by just a guy.
I think here's the problem. I think Black Myth Wukong is a really good indicator of what this problem is that when IGN gave Black Myth Wukong an 8, and I think it was another studio, another place gave it a 6 out of 10, and the main reason why they were giving it low ratings was because of something that somebody at the studio said or did, that becomes a huge problem when every single game reviewing company has this same criteria. Space Marine 6 out of 10, right? Got 2. Below Gollum? Yeah, exactly. She's annoying the innate bias that Gaxis journalists have. Well, it's a longer video. So, like, I mean, she might cover that later on. So, I mean, there's plenty of time to go over that. But what I'm saying is that these game reviews, not only are they biased, but they are extremely biased, and all of the different game review places are doing the same type of bias.
Yes, Commander, at once.
That's the issue. Is that, like, I mean, you might as well just have one big game review company, because all of them are functionally the same thing. There's no objectivity. Yeah, exactly. And like, I guarantee you, if I made a video and I reviewed a game and I said this game is bad because of like some bullshit, people would call me out too. That's the way it would be for anybody.
What are any of us doing? Think about how many things you don't know how to do, or how many mistakes that you've made, and you're still here, and that's just the same as the rest of us. None of us have any idea what's really going on. We're just some fucking guy who got a job. There it is. Okay, but first, 7 out of 10. Why is it so common? Why does it feel like 7 out of 10 has become the average video game score, at the very least in the AAA gaming space? Why is everything a 7 out of 10? Why is it so common? What happened to the other half of the scale? Why aren't we using it? In my opinion, it actually is because 7 out of 10 kind of has become average for AAA games, but maybe not for the reasons that most people would think. Important to note before we get into this that different websites do have different scales. A 9 for IGN is not the same as...
You guys want to see the scale? There's some scales right there. There's no objective measurement here. Like, I understand how, like, they want to define this and they like trying to create some rubric or something like that. But let's be honest. The dartboard is a scale? Yeah, a lot of this is a dartboard.
A 9 for some other website. You have any feelings about reviews that you look up what their individual scales mean? One thing that I see people mistake all the time.
Do you remember how many places gave Starfield a really high rating? That was very upsetting for me to see that.
Times that they think a 10 out of 10 is a perfect score, or that it's a perfect game. For IGN, for example, a 10 does not mean perfect. It just means masterpiece, because no game is perfect except for Portal, and maybe also
Sekiro,
and Doom 93,
Sekiro,
and Tunic. But that's the list of perfect video games completed. Unless you have anything to add, editor of this video, Jacob Fullerton. The floor is yours.
Gungan Frontier. All your favorite characters are there. You get to play with Fombas and Falumpa sets and plant trees on the moon. And the UI is a clam. 10 out of 10. Perfect game.
There we go. Comprehensive list of perfect video games. No, really, none exist. 10 out of 10 means masterpiece, right? It is a masterpiece. It doesn't mean it's perfect. But for whatever website that you read reviews from or whatever discourse you're involved in, I recommend checking out their individual scales. And if you look at a 7 on the IGN scale, 7 means good. Not great, just good. When I worked there and I reviewed video games and movies and stuff sometimes, Dan Stapleton, the executive editor of reviews at IGN, told me to treat what score I would have if I was having trouble as what would I say if someone walked up to me on the street and asked. So a 7 would be, yeah, it's good. It's not great. It's good. It's good. Because, to be honest, assigning a score to however many thousand words you've written where you try to really explain every single nuance of this thing and why you do or don't like it is extremely difficult and sucky, but it's just really important to audiences. Like, it gets clearly so much engagement from these websites. People want the opinions distilled into a little number. It generates so much discourse. It generated this video, technically, and probably many videos about 7 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 game reviews that exist on this platform. Audiences clearly are very attached to the review score. For writers, it sucks. So when you're having...
I don't think that people are attached to it for that reason. I think the reason why people are attached to it is because the way that they're reviewed isn't respective of the way that people want them to be reviewed. That's the issue. That's where the complaints really come in. It's that, for example, like game reviews like hold priority and care about things that an average player doesn't care about. And I think that that's really where the issue is with the 7 out of 10. Because a lot of these games really aren't a 7 out of 10. Like, I can't see a universe where... Like, and I think, like, really, if you take a step back and you ask yourself, what purpose do game reviews serve? And you think about it, right? What is the purpose of a game review? A purpose of a game review is to give the game, is to inform a customer and help a customer make a purchase choice, right? It's to inform a customer and help them make money, or sorry, help them spend money in the right way. So if the game reviews are deviating this much from what the public sentiment is, then it's very obvious that the game reviews are wrong, because the game reviews exist only as a tool to benefit customers in being able to make better purchasing decisions. And the big problem is that these game reviews are inaccurate. That's the problem. It's like polls. Yeah, exactly. The purpose is deviated at some point. Exactly. Wrong and biased. Yes, they are wrong and biased. Hades 2 got a 9 on IGN. Of course. I thought Hades 2 was a great game. I liked Hades 1 maybe a little bit more, but like I thought they were both good. You know nothing about ratings. The number one reviewers give Concord an 8 out of 10. I know, it's just crazy. It feels like people care about reviews a decade ago, but not anymore nowadays. I think that the reason why people care a lot about reviews is because reviews are quantitative metrics to measure the disparity between what people actually think and what's being published. So like, for example, a game like Star Wars Outlaws getting an 8 or like a 9 or a 7 even, this is very clearly a massive disparity between what the customers think. And that's what the problem is.
Trouble being like, I don't know what these words distill to. How am I going to figure that out? A good way to do it is, what would you say someone came up to you on the street? So a 7 is, it's good. It's not great, it's good. And firstly, that does encompass a lot of video games, especially when you're a reviewer. People who review games or play games professionally are, by virtue of the thing that is their job, playing a lot more video games than most people. Now, before you get mad at me for that, it's just that they're allowed to do it during work hours. So they're playing more video games.
I think that they play more video games, but the problem that I think a lot of reviewers have with playing games is that they play them at a very shallow level. And you can see that, and it really just makes sense, right? Is that a lot of reviewers, and this is just like a problem fundamentally with like the meta of what like reviewing games is that you want to make a lot of reviews and you want to write a lot of reviews because those reviews generate ad revenue and they make you money. So the problem is that in a lot of cases where these game reviews, I think that the best example that I can give of this is New World. So New World, every single game review of New World, The screenshots that weren't included in the game review showed a character at level 18. It showed a character at level 11. Oh, wow, this game is great.
My friend.
Wow. Oh, there you go. Like, that means it's so good. And this is a problem. And the issue is that game reviews, while it is their job, that's a double-edged sword. Because the fact that it's their job means that they want to do it in a finite amount of time. They're not going to give the game as much time as maybe they should, and I think that's what happens. Is that like, and I think, again, Black Myth Wukong, another great example. The biggest self-report from game reviewers is that all of them said there weren't any women in the game. But there's women all the time in Act 4. That it's all about them. So what does that tell me? That tells me you didn't play half the game. That's what I see.
Games than every other human who has a job that is not in the games industry because they're allowed to play games at work. So like by default, they have more hours on any given day in which they can/are playing video games. Sure. But because the average games journalist is able to play more video games than the average reader, it's kind of another reason that a review is just some fucking guy's opinion. What somebody who has played 1,000 games thinks of a game is inherently going to be different to what somebody who's only played 100 games thinks of a game, because you are coming into that with that wealth of knowledge, experience, and those set your expectations. Like, you might find something bland or generic because you played 10 other games like it. If someone has played less games than you, they may not feel that way. Imagine somebody...
I think a really great example of what she's saying, I think that she's right about that, is that it's Diablo 4. I think Diablo 4 is a great game for casuals. It's a great game for people that aren't like really big gamers because it's pretty simple and it's easy to understand.
Playing Star Wars Outlaws as their very first Ubisoft game. I myself was like, I'm kind of burned out of Star Wars. I'm kind of burned out of the Ubisoft formula right now. This feels very samey. It's not grabbing me. So I tried and I decided that I wasn't going to play any more of it. But someone who's never played...
I feel like if your first game was playing Star Wars Outlaw, I feel like I'd probably start playing something. I'd like get into arts and crafts or something like that, right?
Prepared to engage.
PoE takes the cake? Yeah, but PoE is not... The thing is, like, PoE and Diablo 4 are not really competing for the same market share. Like, Diablo 4 is for casual players, and PoE is for hardcore players. It's the same as, like, Escape from Tarkov and, like, Call of Duty. Like, they're just two different audiences.
Ubisoft game before might be like, holy shit, this is crazy. What is this? We're all just a bunch of guys who have just fucking opinions. It's all so subjective, and it's impossible not to be subjective. You're inherently bringing all of the experiences that you have had into every opinion that you form on pretty much everything. And that's why reviews are out there. They're just an opinion. Secondly, I think there's a misconception that 5 is supposed to mean average on the scales, where it doesn't, at least not on any that I've ever seen. A 5 for IGN means mediocre. They describe it as something that is bland and unremarkable, and I guess with that definition, I wouldn't be like super uncomfortable personally categorizing Star Wars Outlaws that way, maybe. I haven't played enough that I feel confident saying that, but that...
Star Wars Outlaw, in my opinion, was between a 4 and a 5. That's where it was for me. Because, like, you look at the ones, like, ones are like that King Kong game and, like, Gollum. Like, yeah, like a 5 should be below average. Well, it's like, also, I think that I disliked it more. A 4 at max, they get Penguin. Yeah, I would say probably a 4, if I had to say.
It becomes complicated when you realize how many games do fit below the 5 category, and that's kind of the point of this video. 5 is not actually baseline average, and it makes sense that most scores that these outlets give are going to be above a 5, because in comparison to the amount of video games that come out, the AAA games that people are playing, the games that are popular enough for people to even be talking about them, for somebody to need to write a review about them, are going to be in that upper category. Like, there are so many video games that come out. And the truth is, most games that release are very, 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 very flawed. Most games that come out...
I think that she brings up a good point, and I think this is probably the best point that she's made in the video, is that the games that are popular by confirmation bias are going to have a certain level of quality. So you're going to create a feedback loop of looking at better games on average because those are the games that people want to see reviews for. I think that's actually a very good point.
Don't even have an inch of the complexity.
It's like kind of like a survivorship bias type argument. Yeah, exactly.
That you see in something like Star Wars Outlaws. And you may take that with some kind of like offense, as though you think that Star Wars Outlaws is not complex. And that would be totally fair if you compare it to everything else that you've played. But if you compare it to the games
that's actually good
that come out, it has incredibly complex systems. Most games aren't even close to that level of complexity. Most games that release have one song, they have maybe 2 inputs, they have very few mechanics. They're just, you kind of press the same button over and over and over again. A lot of them crash all the time. They're very buggy. Sometimes they don't even have music. Most games that come out do not have even like an inch of the complexity or nuance that you are used to in AAA video games. Bad UI, unintuitive controls, just all of the things that net them somewhere between 1 to 5 on a game review scale. That means that they kind of need the space for the 5 to 10 for the...
I think that's a good point, and she's right. But if you want to make the argument that the reason why these games are generally a 7 is because you have the confirmation bias of only picking games that are popular, then shouldn't you change the way that your grading is so you have more gradation between like what a good and average game is? Because like, so, because I still feel like you run into the same problem. Because if all your grading are 7s, then maybe change what a 7 looks like. Like, why don't we have a 7.1 or a 7.9 or something like that, right? Because like that's what really matters at that point. The average, so like, yeah, basically if you're grading on a curve, which is what she's saying, I think this is a good argument, by the way. If you're grading on a curve, though, I absolutely think that should be taken into consideration. My counterpoint, my expectations from AAA studio are a lot different from an indie studio. Yeah, I think so too.
Other games. We're basically at a point where hundreds, if not thousands of games are released every single day, usually from one-person teams who do not do it full-time. You don't even hear about these games, but I'm going to do an experiment for you all right now. I'm going to boot up the 3 most recent releases on Steam and play them for you right now. I don't know what they are. This is not rehearsed. It's not going to be the games on the bestsellers list.
It's like My Stepmother is a Fuda Part 7. You know? I'm expecting it to be some fucking stupid-ass shit.
It's just the most recent releases, new releases on Steam, and I will show you exactly what I'm talking about of like what majority of video games that release actually look like. Okay, everybody, I've downloaded the 3 most recent releases on Steam. They are Doll Catching Simulator, Future Breach, Youngblood, which is free to play, so that's pretty cool, and Zool Dungeon. Let's start with Doll Catching Simulator. I need settings so I can... It immediately crashed. Tried to change the aspect ratio and it immediately crashed. This time it didn't even have a menu. Cat? Oh, AD key, switch the claw machine. Enter key select. Okay, here we go. Enter key inserts coins. Enter. AD keys move space.
At this very moment, this game has more players than Concord.
This has physics, which is actually pretty cool. Enter. Just like in real life, they've nailed it, to be honest. Pick it up, pick it up. We got a cat! Huge! Am I the world's first, what was it called? Doll Catching Simulator speedrunner? I might be.
Oh, you have to give it to the girl.
It. I did get a couple of cats. Look at me go.
Okay.
I like this. This is cool.
Is she comparing this to a Ubisoft
It's Doll
game?
Catching Simulator. It functions, to be honest.
Yeah, but the problem is that, like, I think that her point makes a lot of sense, but the truth is that IGN doesn't review those games. So, like, if you're not reviewing those games and you're only reviewing the best of the best games, then I think that you need to have a recontextualized 1 out of 10 scale. Because if you're only reviewing games that are good, then why do you even have the bottom numbers? You see what I'm saying?
It's very simple. The art is not great, but it works. 7 out of 10. Next, we have Zool Dungeon. I have no idea what this is. Trap? Zool, not enough. Unlock trap first. Okay. Right click to spawn your monster. Click him.
Jesus.
Spawn him. Click him, spawn it. What's the timer for? Why am I being timed? The surviving hunter, 100 destroy hunter camps. I'm earning money, I think, maybe?
That's how much cryptocurrency the game's mining in the background.
PT on summon, increased movement speed on... Oh, yeah, okay, I can wait. I can give him little buffs. That's cool. So now we got like a jacked up Hobu. Am I trying to kill these guys? Oh, okay, yeah.
Man.
Okay, got it. I think this is... Maybe I just spawn these in to kill these dudes.
Vampire Survivors. Oh, you're dead?
Well... That's Zul Dungeon.
Wow.
Compelling. Last but not least,
crazy.
Future Youngblood, a game that is apparently made with Unity. Game? Hello, this is a preview build to show the initial gameplay. Later versions will... Oh, okay, hang on.
7 out of 10?
As it turns out, Future Breach Youngblood was just a demo, so I'm going to go back to the Steam library, or the Steam store, rather, and we will get... Deep in the dungeon!
Oh, wow.
I need to reach floor 240 to escape from here. Okay, I like the music.
I feel like this one's pretty good.
Not something I could see myself playing for a super long time at this rate, but it's really just arrow keys, which means you can move through it pretty fast, and it's, you know what, it's pretty fun. It's
Yeah, it's not so bad.
It's not bad. You get the idea. Probably the top 10 looks like that kind of thing. Maybe...
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? It's like IGN doesn't review those games. So, like, if you don't review those games aren't effectively inside of the 10-point rubric. You see what I'm saying? So, like, if they're not reviewing these games, then they're outside of the scope of what 1 through 10 should be.
Even more than that. And websites like IGN have to effectively reserve the lower half of their scales for those games because those games exist. They just very rarely review them because most people don't know what they are. Like, if people aren't searching for them, people aren't really trying to figure out if they need to buy them or not, so you don't really need to write a review for them. But in case one goes viral, like The Day Before, for example, very bad basic video game, they still need to have that bottom half of the scale there for those games. And when you consider how many games are like that, it starts to make a little more sense why you keep seeing AAA games on the other half of the scale. Like, that's the breadth of the scale that is being considered. AAA games are inherently a lot more complex than majority of the games that come out every day, so they are far, far, far more deserving of the top 5 part of that scale. The scale is not...
Oh, you can make a complex game that's a piece of shit. You can make a lot of pieces of shit that are complex. You can have tons of a convoluted network of garbage. So yeah, Concord, exactly. Zelda Breath of the Wild, exactly, man. Yeah, recycling badass shit. Yeah, it's like if you're not reviewing those games, basically, I think that you need to change. Like, for example, like WoW had this problem with like arena ratings where everybody's rating was like, you had a scale that was from like 0 to like 3,000.
Good day,
and
Commander.
the first 1,000 numbers didn't matter at all.
We'll need to act fast.
I'm sorry, but if that's the way it works, then your scale's broken.
Online.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Exactly. Yeah.
Day,
so it's like you need to have it to where like there's a measured gradation so people can accurately be able to judge things. Because again, let's go back to the question, the initial question: what do game reviews exist to do? If game reviews exist to inform the customer, and there are a lot of customers that are saying that 7 out of 10 reviews are oftentimes not accurate, which is really what the criticism is fundamentally, then there is a problem with the fact that there are so many 7 out of 10 game reviews. It's literally that simple.
Just AAA. Does that make sense? Am I articulating this? I remember when Diablo 4 got massively review bombed by the user ratings, maybe a month or so after it came out, which was deserved. They made some disappointing changes, but people were giving it like a 2 out of 10 and calling games journalists shills because they weren't giving it 2 out of 10. But when you see the games that I just showed you, and then you compare it to something like Diablo 4, which has complex systems and enemies and...
To be fair, Diablo 4 was never a 2 out of 10.
How?
Anybody saying that it was a 2 out of 10 was just a angry idiot. Nobody thought that. Like, these are protest reviews. It was a 7. I think it was like a 6 or a 7 out of 10 on release, somewhere around there.
Classes and a ton of progression and
like
music.
Now, I actually think if you're a casual, this is going to make some people mad. I think that if you're a casual player, Diablo 4 is in the like 8 or 9 category. I think so. For a casual player. Like a casual ARPG Andy, yeah, it's in an 8 or a 9. So high? Yeah, I think so. I actually think that like Diablo 4 nailed down the dad audience. Like every person that I know that's like a big Diablo fan is a dad. Like, I'm actually thinking about it. Do I know anybody who's like a huge Diablo player? It's not like a streamer or something that isn't a dad. No. Actually, no.
And sound design and art, you can see why it doesn't really exist in the same realm as a lot of the 2s that come out every day. Yeah. It was functional, and it had this cool feature where you could actually play it for more than 5 minutes without being extremely bored. Basically, Steam is...
That's debatable. Yeah, that part of it was very debatable.
It's full of a lot of things that like barely count as video games for what the general public understands a video game to be. Yeah. Most of them aren't even really worth reviewing, but the scale has to still exist for them. And it's like, I get why if you've only played...
Why does it have to exist for them? Why? Why do you need a scale? So why do you need to have a scale that's going to include games that you're never going to use it for? I don't think that it needs to include them.
Games if you only played really popular games that do rise above, the schlock of majority of the stuff that comes out, that you would have a skewed perception of what the scale looks like. Your scale is probably different to the scale of some other fucking guy based on just what you've played, where reviewers often have played a lot of stuff that falls on the lower half of that scale and is the reason the lower half of that scale exists. I think you could pretty easily make a case that they should just not touch those lower half games at all, and that you could have a scale.
Well, it's not that they shouldn't, it's that they don't. They're not reviewing those games. They never have. They're always going to review because, if you're a game reviewer, let's think about this logically. If you're a game reviewer, you want to review the games that people want to watch reviews for. Primarily, they're going to be reviewing those kinds of games.
For AAA games, and they could be two separate things. But I think that would also be pretty complicated to explain to audiences in a lot of cases, where I feel like it's probably easier to explain, no, a 0 or a 1 or a 2 is for games that don't function. Diablo 4 making changes that negatively...
Well, people say that they do. Let's pull it up and let's look at it right now. Let's look at the reviews. All reviews. So, latest reviews. Let's look in the past 3 months. Past 3 weeks. 7, 9, 6, 9, 6, 8, 7, 7, 8, 8, 5, 8, 6, 8, 7, 9, 8, 8, 8, 7, 8, 8, 6, 5, 8, 9, 7, 4, 8, 7, 5, 8, 8, 7, 5, 7, 9, 6, 7, 8, 7, 8, 5, 9, 8, 8, 8, 9, 8, 6, 9, 5. Look at this. So they're not even doing it. You see what I'm saying? This goes all the way down to Space Marine 2. They're not reviewing these games. It's not happening. You see what my point is? So, if you functionally took out the bottom 5 points, only 1 or 2 games would even qualify. So do you see how clearly this is a problem? Filter by rank? Well, this is by latest. All I want to show you guys is that functionally anything below a 5 doesn't exist. Very, very rarely do I see anything below a 5. There's a couple of 4s down there. There's another 4 right there. The day before got a 1 out of 10. Yeah, but the day before was an exception case because of how much hype it had. I see what you're saying. Yeah. So